I would say no, it probably started that way, but it definitely has grown vastly since that. I do have the last investor meeting notes up on Grow Hemp Colorado, which clearly shows that they are looking not just at isolated compounds now, but the whole plant entourage effect, because they're learning the entourage effect is where it really is. And that concerns me. That's why if we do not protect our naturally occurring cannabinoids, compounds, and derivatives from all parts of the industrial hemp plant, this whole part of our industry is gone. Recently, Hemp Business Journal, I think it's called, came out with some kind of CBD numbers, which looked really great. I think they were like in the $1 billion projections. Unfortunately, they forgot to put the whole part in that this is considered adulterated and can't be shipped out of state. So it was a tiny bit misleading because we will have $0 coming from industrial hemp and the CBD side if we don't fix this here first in our state.
You've seen the birth of Pfizer, and all that entails.
Scary. Another thing I want to kind of make sure everybody knows about Colorado Proud. Does anybody know what the Colorado Proud logo is when you go into the grocery stores? You see the Colorado Proud. So there was a few of us that got approved recently for the first time approvals to use the Colorado Proud logo. I just got approved with Leonard Rothby to be able to use that logo for our hemp press seed oil. Ironically, my hemp press seed oil, when I had approved tests, because they made me prove a test that it had no THC in it, it also showed CBD. So I do have naturally occurring CBD in the hemp press seed oil, which now is a Colorado Proud approved product for use of their logo. I encourage everybody to try to work with Colorado Proud, register for free, become a member, and see if you can try to get your product. This really gives us more credibility. It's something free. It helps the regulatory side also learn more about our stuff. But they want to work with us. This helps legitimize us more. So everybody, please go sign up for the Colorado Proud logo, and it's worth the time and the effort you put into it. Yes, sir.
They're actually allowing that now? Because I applied for it, and they said they wouldn't allow any hemp companies.
Yes, and that just goes to kind of show you how much progress, and really I have to give credit to the CDA for that, because they do a lot of battling on our behalf, and they are the ones who push that forward to really get Colorado Proud to consider our products. They are trying to figure out about like flower, not F-L-O-U-R, F-L-O-W-E-R, parts of the plant, to see if that's okay. So I think if we have an opportunity to work with these options, we should do it now, especially if they open the door for us, and like let's just floodgate them with all of our apps and all of our hemp products so we can all have the logo on our products. So, yes, sir. Oh, sorry, I thought you were raising your hand. Bob, is there anything else you wanted to touch on?
Not necessarily. I just want to make sure people have their questions answered. We've got top-notch professional lobbyists that will carry this ball and make this happen in conjunction with the support that Matt and you all can give. This is a big deal, and we've got to get it done this year. The only other thing that we haven't necessarily talked about, although I'm not so sure it does us any good because it'll just fire us up, and that's the issue of the marijuana industry, which has really been the primary opposition to the hemp industry, because they feel as if the hemp industry has a leg up, so to speak, because they can sell, you all can sell, we can sell these CBD and hemp products without the seed to sale tracking system, without the taxation levels, etc. In other words, they've been trying to get themselves to corner that market. We were successful last session, again, having all of these pieces of legislation and these efforts literally nipped in the bud, but that was because of these exact lobbyists. So we need to keep them involved. The industry needs to have a voice. We need to act like grown-ups. We need to anticipate what these things are going to be and start to follow GMP practices across the board. When you say there's no regulations on things, there are regulations. There are FDA regulations. And you say, but Hoban, the FDA regulations don't apply to us. I'll be damned, they do. They apply to you squarely. This is a dietary supplement right now, despite what the FDA says prematurely. So you have to follow those standards if you want to be treated properly in this industry. So, gosh, I mean, with groups like you all and with Grow Hemp Colorado, there's only a bright future. Just we have to be protective. we have to look over our shoulder and we have to stand together because this is the only way anything's gonna get done.
Absolutely, so I definitely reiterate what Bob said, and anyone who's never done legislative session, it's a nightmare completely. It's very painful to go through, but that's why it's so essential that we have, like, the 4 lobbyists that maybe wouldn't always even work together, working together on our behalf as a united front. When Matt worked on Bill 196, or essentially got that passed, he self-funded that bill. I think it was like $250,000 or something in lobbying money he paid on our behalf, and never asked for anything back to get Bill 196 passed. So for me, 80,000, I feel like we've negotiated the best deal for the 4 lobbyists. There may come a point where we do need to go down to the Capitol and testify. So what is the next steps? The next steps is we are going to lock down this bill language, and it will become public information. It will be posted on his site, my site. Hopefully you guys all post it on your website, send it out to your friends. You're signed up for our newsletters on National Hemp Association, Bob's and mine also, because this will enable you access to that bill. Once that bill language is in, we have a sponsor for the bill. Most likely it could be Vicki Marble. She was a sponsor on our bill for 196. That still has not been determined. But we will have a sponsor and a co-sponsor, I believe, on the bill. Right?
Yes,
And then it all goes down, goes from there. Yes, sir.
Sorry, same question. What's the name of the bill? When is it going to go through? Kind of keep it on the radar.
Yeah.
So the Colorado legislative session, this is not common knowledge for everybody. It doesn't even start till January, and it ends the first week of May, roughly. So the the sponsors, the title, the precise language that would be available on the legislature website, none of that is going to happen until January. So right now, while we're nailing down a draft, we're circulating. We met with the CDA this week. We'll meet with the CDPHE in the next couple of weeks. We'll start to ferret out people that have wind of what we're doing, and we'll try to figure out what their interests are, and if we can get them on the same page. And if not, we'll go to our lobbyists and say, can we ignore these people, or do we need to work with them? Stakeholders. So this is where we are, and nothing is going to happen formally in that respect until January. But that doesn't mean that the language won't be available and available for discussion, and that we're not building. We need to get the lobbyists engaged immediately. They don't just work during the legislature, they work now. They've been working now to build this coalition, to build this team, and to figure out who's opposed to us. Because there's gonna be somebody we're not thinking of that doesn't want us to do what we're doing, and we just haven't identified it yet. And that's what we need to do.
Is there a name for the bill or number? 196? What is it?
That's the bill that passed, so that'll all come out later. But to Bob's point, I guess I'll be the dick up here, but we have to be unified. So that means that on my end, if I'm participating with my money, after we have all these meetings, I don't want 2 sniveling little guys running off and putting together, saying that they were the only voice of reason that didn't like this legislation that we were proposing. They wanted it to go a different direction. If there's somebody that's got that damn voice, they need to speak now. Now.
Yeah, and anyone who chose not to be here, I don't know what to say. Yes.
For me, it just depends on this amended definition of industrial.
Say that one more time, I couldn't hear you.
For me, it just depends on this amended definition of industrial.
Grant, let me find it and I'll read it to you, but the idea is we're not changing anything, we're simply adding the fact that it includes all parts of the plant. Literally, I think it reads, we're including all parts of the plant and not limited to, but also including naturally occurring cannabinoids. I mean, literally, the definition right now seems to say that, but it doesn't knock you over the head that it includes all parts of the plant.
What's the definition that concerns you?
Well,
Well,
do we,
you
so
gotta have
the
a
definition, I think, was on Samantha Walsh's page.
Yeah, well, she didn't give a definition, that's why I asked.
Oh, there wasn't a definition on her page?
The answer is this, I guess the answer was the definition hasn't been written by itself.
No, I'll
But do you like that definition that Bob said? I
Well,
mean,
no, so I'll answer your question, because I apologize for everybody who disagrees with this, but it's true. The way that the definition is currently written is, if a plant tests under 0.3% is defined as industrial. The truth of the matter is, you could grow marijuana under that definition, harvest it at a certain light industrial hemp. So what is actually allowed to happen over the last couple of years is people doing just that. Growing what they know is a marijuana plant, harvesting it before it goes hot, and then calling it industrial hemp.
Right, we're not addressing that in this legislative bill whatsoever, at all. If you wanna address that in rulemaking, we can discuss that at the next meeting, but this has absolutely nothing to do with redefining industrial hemp definition according to 64. If it does, it will only change the Industrial Hemp Act definition by simply adding the word like stock and brewed, further defining it in the Industrial Hemp Act, but not Amendment 64.
I know where you're going with that, and that's a very good point, it's a very valid point, but
Yeah.
so going back to the legislative process and how this goes, we have to be very, very careful with the things that we bring up. Because it's very easy sometimes, and I've shot myself in the foot a bunch of times on the marijuana side on this, where I come up with something, a definition, the meaning of the word but. All these little nuances where I think that I'm trying to carry a bill or have my lobbyist promote something and going one direction, and suddenly it splinters off because that little nuance or that little subject matter that I brought up suddenly opens it up to where all of a sudden, instead of focusing on the legislation at hand, they're like, holy crap, they're right, it can't be marijuana, we should focus on marijuana. Then everything we work at gets going to try to hold the dike, making sure that we're not getting lumped into something. Because the marijuana guys are on this, they're on you guys, they're on us. They don't like what they see going on here because they're not free market guys. And they have a lot of capital that they can expend, and they're getting a lot of political heat down at the Capitol now too. So we have to be very, very careful and unified with what we bring up. And that's the difference, I mean, with at least SB 196, which is one of the things that was so great about it, was it's different when you go in front of legislators and you have an industry, or the majority of the industry, certainly it's never gonna be unanimous, but when you have a majority of people saying, this is what we want, this is what we think is good, then it makes the legislators a lot easier to say, okay, I'm working on behalf of a group of people, as opposed to several special interests. The reason the marijuana industry had such terrible regulations that got pushed through is because certain individuals with a lot of capital were able to push things through because everybody else was working. They didn't realize they had to go down there. They didn't think they were going to go to bed on Friday night and wake up Monday and realize all of a sudden they had to find a new partner because they were going to be illegal. So it's very important that we all stay unified. We can have our little discussions and little fights amongst ourselves out here, but when we go to the Capitol, we really, really, really have to be cognitive of the legislation that we're trying to promote. Because I'm telling you, like for instance, what you suggested, that little thing gives opposition, it gives other people an inroad where they can turn the bill and turn it into something completely different. And that's all. And that doesn't mean that you shouldn't say it, and it doesn't mean you shouldn't bring it up. I'm just...
Well, and so the reason I asked too is Senator Sonnenberg is totally on board with this. For anybody who's not familiar with Senator Sonnenberg, he is the head of the agricultural committee in the Senate. He's on board with it. He's not on board with amending the definition of industrial hemp without it being amended so that it's genetically correct. So you may get...
I can address it spot on, Craig, because I have it right in front of me. We don't change the definition of industrial hemp at all. And in fact, frankly, legislation rarely ever reflects science, and to insist upon the two being on the same page is a terrible mistake. Because while you're significantly trained and extremely smart on these issues, insisting that legislation encompass scientific issues is a terrible mistake. It never worked. It's never worked in the history of humankind. But what we do here is we amend the definition of industrial hemp product to say this. Industrial hemp product means any product, commodity, cosmetic, food, or food additive for human or animal use or consumption, containing any parts of the hemp plant, including but not limited to naturally occurring cannabinoids, compounds, and or derivatives from industrial hemp, so long as the industrial hemp product contains a delta-9 THC content of more than 0.3%. So, in other words, it broadens the definition of product, doesn't change the definition of industrial hemp at all. And if there's some language you think you want to suggest, we're all for it. Just let's not get confused with science and politics. They're not ever going to be the same. For the same reason that the CDA has a certified hemp definition that deviates from science. It's not the same thing. You can't impose science on legislation and policy. It sounds terrible to say that.
I think Grant is referencing Samantha's handout, which does
The
say,
handout specifically says you're amending the definition of industrial hemp.
Industrial hemp product, I just read it.
It just removes the definition of product.
Actually, Sam's handout did say that.
Oh, it says that, but what I'm saying is that's wrong. What I just read is correct.
Yeah, so just scratch off the change of industrial hemp definition and change it to just the industrial hemp food products. I kind of got that, I think, at 1 a.m. from Samantha. So I don't know if she had time to review that, yeah.
And it's not industrial hemp food product, it's industrial hemp product, because we're talking about more than foods here. We gotta make that just.
Okay.
I just have a question for, so being the slow guy on the stage, is your concern that there's gonna be some bleed off and there's gonna be blowback because the marijuana industry's gonna try to go in there and then do something nefarious?
Yeah, well, and so, under there's this gray area that you can live in right now that could potentially allow for marijuana to be grown under a marijuana license, harvested X, Y, and Z, and then, sell it as an industrial product, because the product is under 0.3% THC. What's cool second round of CO2 extraction,
I think this is an issue
Hold
that,
on, I still wanna get on the rabbit
Well,
hole.
so if we're not amending the definition of industrial hemp, then this definition is fine by me, because it totally works. If we just amending the definition, then we might as well make the definition correct. We're not amending it.
Well, so I wanna, just as I understand this, because again, I went to public school, so here's how it goes. So, I'm a marijuana producer, she's a hemp producer. Am I in metric? Am I a licensed producer, or am I doing something nefarious out on my Boulder farm?
Are you asking me?
I'm asking you that, well, because I'm trying to understand it, because I really want to understand it. So if I'm licensed, and I'm in metric, I'm in the system, and if I try to pull that password, there's a whole host of red flags that are gonna come up. So it probably is gonna mean that I'm trying to figure out some way to be able to get marijuana put into the system, right?
Yeah, so if we're worried about adjusting the definition, then there's a potential problem. If we're not worried about amending it, then I have no issue.
Okay, because I just wanted, because, you know, again, don't start throwing cups at me, but, so what he talked about was science, right? I mean, he's absolutely correct. You should hear that. If it says 3%, it's under 3%. It's under 3%. They're not gonna talk about whether it's marijuana, because it's not marijuana to them unless it's in the metric system. So if that was to occur, I don't see how the crossover is going to take effect unless they're a licensed facility who's trying to take product and produce it in some nefarious manner and then bring it in. Otherwise, they're just gonna say it's under 3%, so it's not marijuana. They'd have to have some type of genetic sequenced seed bank to be able to identify that. I know where you're going, and I agree, we have to be careful and very vigilant to make sure people aren't doing nefarious stuff, but the legislators, and I think the police themselves, it's under 3%, right?
0.3.
And just to be absolutely clear, the definition of industrial hemp is not suggested to be changed. If that ever comes up, you'll be the first person I call, I promise you.
What did the senator say? Is that his concern too, or?
I don't know if Grant, you wanna actually represent Senator Sonderberg in public,
I
and
certainly do not want to represent the soccer, but he is very open. He understands the concept. He is on board that if it's going to be changed, if the definition is going to be changed, it should be amended to make it so that it's accurate representation of the plant itself. But he's on board and he wants to help, especially with this food bill. He totally wants to help. He's going to be the first person I go to if we get it. When we get the bill to say, hey, here's what we want.
Well, good job, thanks for the networking support, that's really big, but that's big.
He appointed Bob and I, so we should take him pretty often.
yeah, we definitely will, we need all the senators' help. Yes, sir.
Okay, so you brought up a different question for me during the course of that entertain. So as far as like, if a producer were to make a product and then try to sell to MIP or something like that, is that addressed? Is that currently blocked off by other marijuana regulation? Like, I think that's like,
We're not trying to address that here because we don't want to change the marijuana code. We don't want to touch the marijuana code at all. But that is a permissible practice.
Right, and the marijuana licensees, they're not allowed to carry anything but marijuana products. Med has not come out with any official position, you could say, regarding industrial hemp products. There's been a lot of back and forth on that, but that's not being addressed. We're just trying to, like, get corn and carrots treated like corn and carrots. I mean, if I'm a hemp farmer, I wanna be able to use all parts of my plant and every part of my byproduct legally, so, you know, just like carrots, they don't say you can grow carrots, but you cannot benefit or use your beta carotene, like that's delusional.
Narrowly focused legislation designed for a specific purpose. Think of it like a beachhead, right? You gotta get on the beach in Normandy before we get into Germany. This is where we're at. We all know where we wanna go, and then we can.
I'm fully behind you, I'm not gonna question anything, trying to.
Well, no, you should question.
Yeah, no, it's
Question.
not.
Yeah, question.
Please ask, yes, you too, one at a time.
I'm first. Okay, so will this definition cover any, that we're doing things out of the country as well? Everything falls in the same thing?
Well,
Well, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Hemp-derived products, international or domestically produced, all fall under this industrial hemp food definition. It doesn't specify.
For the
it
state
has
of
to come out
Colorado.
One place or another.
Okay, and you know, I'm Pamela with the Charter. So, you know, where will we find this definition? On the open website?
where will we find the definition?
We have some tweaking to do before we publish the whole piece. But what I'm going to do right now, and I want to encourage everyone to go like the Hogan Law Group Facebook page. I'm going to post it right now.
Woo!
Live tweets.
Yay! Yeah, so there will be, hopefully NHA will also have it posted, Grown Up Colorado will have it posted. You guys, please repost, share it with all your friends here in the state and other states. We want other states, it's imperative not just to get it passed here, but it's imperative other states adopt this language.
And to have this conversation, just like this gentleman brought up out there. I mean, this stuff's important to be able to bring out now as opposed to later on when somebody should have said something and they didn't say something because they felt like they couldn't.
Yes, sir.
Question,